Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a wrap up of all the books that I read in the month of April. It's currently pouring rain outside, so it's the best cozy reading vibe, so I decided right now would be the best time to record a little reading wrap up. This month I read 4 full books and I'm in the process of finishing 3 other ones. Let's get right into the books that I read this month. This is one of my best reading months of the year. I read so many good books. I think nearly all the books that I read are some new favorites for me. I'm going to talk about the books that I don't own first, which I read towards the beginning of the month anyway. I started the month off reading Mickey Chambers Shakes It Up by Cherish Reed. This is a Grumpy Sunshine romance book that follows Mickey and Diego. It's also a workplace romance and an age gap done right, because Mickey is in her mid-30s, Diego is in his early 40s. So it's not a weird age gap. I don't like age gap because of that reason, but this book was very good. Mickey is Diego's English professor and Diego is Mickey's new boss because he is a bar owner and Mickey now works at the bar that he owns. This book just had the best summer vibes. You're gonna hear about this book a lot, especially with summer coming up and knowing that I'm gonna do a summer book recommendation video. You'll definitely be seeing this book quite a few times because the aesthetic of this book was phenomenal, and also the characters just had such good banter and chemistry. I just loved Mickey and Diego together. I think they really fit together and they really complemented each other's personality. And also Mickey had a chronic illness, so there was some great representation with that as well in this book. And I just thought this book was a very fun time. I was really trying to pull myself out of a little bit of a reading slump earlier this month, and this book really did that for me. Then I read Of Time and Turtles by Cy Montgomery, a new favorite book of mine. I am a sucker for nature nonfiction, and this is one of the best books that I've read in the genre. This is a little bit of a memoir because, by the way, if you see me looking down, I'm reading my book journal, so sorry. It's a little bit of a memoir. It's basically about the lives of turtles and the longevity of their existence. Cy is in her mid-60s, so she's kind of reflecting on her life and the concept of time, while she's also volunteering at this turtle rescue and rehab facilities and helping injured and sick turtles. Turtles are one of my favorite animals, so this book was like catnip for me because it was full of facts about turtles. There was also images and photos in this book. It was just a beautiful book, first of all. I think it's a great book to start out with if you love nature and you're trying to get into reading nonfiction. Okay, after that I read Happy Place by Emily Henry. This book did it for me. I know there's a lot of conversation going on about Emily Henry's newer books and like a lot of people's not really liking them. I personally really like romance books that are more deep and have more going on than just a romance book, so I really ate this book up. This book follows a girl named Harriet and a guy named Wynn. They always go with their friends to this little cottage in Maine, like every summer since college. They've pretty much been doing it for a decade now. A few months ago, Wynn and Harriet broke up, but now they're going on their last trip to the beach house and they're pretending to be together because the house is being sold. Let me start by saying that during the beginning of this book I was infuriated because the miscommunication between Harriet and Wynn drove me insane. And the whole friend group has their own drama going on that they're not telling each other about because, like I said, they're trying to make this last trip the best trip they've ever had, and they don't want to kind of cloud the trip with their personal problems. But by the end of this book I was so attached to all the characters, and I just love the progression and the development of all the characters in this book. At the end I really could resonate with the characters. I could understand why none of them wanted to tell the other about what was going on in their lives, and I just really understood why there was miscommunication there. Like, I hate miscommunication that I cannot see why y'all wouldn't just communicate, but this book I could really see why they wouldn't. It was so phenomenal. It dealt with grief in such a beautiful way. It dealt with romantic relationships in such a beautiful way and platonic friendships. it was just beautifully done. I personally really love Emily Henry's new stuff because I feel like she's really branching away from the kind of cohesive romance structure and going into more literary fiction work, or more like contemporary fiction where it's a little bit more than just a romance. And this is a new favorite for me. I actually read it twice this month because I was so obsessed with it. If you like the romance books that I like, you would love this book. Y'all know what type of romance books I like. My other favorite Emily Henry is People We Meet on Vacation, which is another underrated banger. Everybody hates it. Not me though. Not me. So maybe if you hate People We Meet on Vacation, you will hate Happy Place and you shouldn't listen to me. But if you love People We Meet on Vacation, trust me. After those 3 books, finally read A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. I have been hearing about this book from one of my favorite booktubers, Katie Colson, and I only recently decided to read it. I'm doing a whole reading vlog for this entire series, so don't you worry. You'll be getting tons of Stoker and Veronica content. This book is set in London, and it's about a woman named Veronica Speedwell who is on the run / in hiding after her aunt dies, and she's informed that someone is after her and trying to kill her. She ends up hiding out at this guy named Stoker's house. They're both extremely adventurous and they're both scientists, so they have much in common in terms of their passions and interests. When somebody that both of them know turns up dead, they decide that they're going to go investigate this murder. The characters talk in a very prim and proper way. This book is written in a very specific kind of way that's consistent throughout the whole series, which I do enjoy. And it just took a little bit to adjust to, but after I adjusted to it, I was eating it up. And Veronica and Stoker have such funny banter. It's a slow burn nerdy romance. This book also just has amazing vibes. I think Deanna Raybourn did such a good job building up these characters, building up the setting, and like putting imagery and description and dialogue into this book. I just found it so engaging and enthralling because this book is part murder mystery, part romance, and part historical fiction. It really scratched a certain spot in my brain. If you watch British comedy like I do, this is British comedy but make it a murder mystery. It also has the same vibe as A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket and The Genius Files by Dan Gutman. Those are 2 of my favorite middle grades. I love this book. If you like A Series of Unfortunate Events and you have been searching for that same high since childhood, let me put you on. So those are all of the books that I completely read. Like I told you, I'm currently reading 3 different books, and I anticipate finishing 2 of these before the month ends because I'm recording this on April 29th. I'm reading book 2 to the Veronica Speedwell series, A Perilous Undertaking by Deanna Raybourn. This one is following a different mystery. After the first mystery is solved, it's following now a new mystery with one of the characters that we were introduced to at the end of that book. I'm not going to spoil it because you should read this series in order. It's not an interconnected standalone series. It's really picking back up where it left off a little bit. So you should read it in order. And I'm not going to say too much about this because I don't know how much of this would spoil the other book. Then I'm also reading The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery. Like I told you, I will be reading everything this woman has ever written. This one is following Cy Montgomery's time with octopuses. She volunteers at a few aquariums and gets to learn quite a few different octopuses, a few different species. Each chapter in this book is a different octopus that she met. Them a little bit about their personality. Of course, throughout it is kind of some memoirist writing, and then also a bunch of facts about octopuses. So each chapter is a different octopus that she met. I thought that was very cool. Similar to Of Time and Turtles, there are pictures throughout this book. And then last but not least, I'm also reading The Waves by Virginia Woolf. I started this one before reading A Curious Beginning, I want to say, and obviously that series sucked me right in. I could not really read anything else. I love Virginia Woolf's writing. She's one of my favorite authors. As y'all know, Mrs. Dalloway is one of my favorite books of all time. I'm obsessed with her. I'm really excited to read this, especially with summer around the corner. That's everything that I read this month and that I'm currently reading. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what your favorite book of April was. I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye.